verse definitions. And this is super interesting because you might think hell just means one thing, right? Well, not exactly. In the King James Bible, the term can actually mean different things. Sometimes it's translated from the Hebrew word Sheol, which just means the grave. Other times it's talking about just horrible earthly suffering. But the real focus of the sermon is on its most serious meaning, Gehenna, which is described as the literal place of torment. Next up, the second D, dreadful descriptions. The sermon really paints a picture here, focusing on 4 key characteristics of this place. It talks about its duration, using the phrase everlasting fire. It describes the deprivation, the sense of lack, with everlasting thirst. It emphasizes the absolute separation with the idea of a great gulf fixed. And finally, it points to the disgrace, the shame of everlasting contempt. And then we get to the third D, which is all about direction. The source material makes this super clear. It's a simple, stark contrast. The scriptures consistently talk about heaven as being upward, above, a place of glory. But hell, it's always described as downward, beneath, in the pit or the depths. And to really drive that point home, the sermon pulls this quote from Isaiah. It really anchors that whole concept of a downward direction, painting this vivid picture of a realm stirring from beneath. Okay, so if that's the what and the where, the next big question has to be who, right? This next part dives right into that, focusing on the inhabitants, the specific dangers, and this overwhelming sense of finality. This brings us to our fourth D, destined dwellers. And the sermon lays out 4 pretty specific groups mentioned in the scriptures. It's not just individuals, but entire nations that are disobedient. It talks about religious hypocrites, what it calls deceivers. It mentions the angels who sinned, the defaulting, and finally, the deniers, those who don't obey the gospel. It's a really broad and sobering list. Okay, the fifth D zooms in on a really specific danger. The source makes a big deal about the term hellfire, and it points out that this exact phrase only shows up a handful of times in the King James Bible. Just 3.